Hey there, I've got a question for you. Do you like gambling? No? Well then, you've probably clicked on the wrong video, as this deck list, it's going to require some major RNGesus. You see, Madolche ticks nearly every single box for top tier competitive deck list. It has an insane turn 1 start of ending on a double DD Crow graveyard, a monster that makes your monsters immune to monster effects. It has a negate on field, a billion worth of stats, floods the board. It has an insane going second. It can set up a card that just double removes 2 cards from your opponent's field, just sets up trillion monsters for a billion attack OTK with a field spell that buffs them all. It has just insane recursion. It covers like every single top tier box. Other than one. This thing is exceptionally bricky. If you try to play Madolche, you're going to be working with more bricks than Bob the Builder. This deck list, it's going to brick. You only have 1 starter, it's limited to 1, and you only have 3 searches for that starter. So you have 4 chances to open it, and if you don't open it, you're just bricking. On top of that, you have 2 hard garnets in the deck list, where if you draw them, you're going to be very depressed. But if all that doesn't scare you and you want to see how I've sort of tried to band-aid fix this problem, let's get into the deck list. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get into the deck list, if you're enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, as apparently about 50% of people watching this or even subscribe to the channel, generally all of you returning viewers who have seen my content before. So if you find yourself keep coming back to the channel and want to see more content just like this in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing down below. Alright, let's get into the deck list. Alright, so bear with me on this one, as this deck list portion might take a little bit longer than normal, as I'm going to go through each of the cards in the deck list, each of the Madolche cards, so you guys sort of know what they do, but then I also want to cover sort of the ratios and why I'm running everything, and how I've tried to fix the bricking in this deck list, and even support it with some maths, which, yeah, that might take a little bit longer than normal, so let's just start by going through the cards first. Alright, so the first card is going to be your Petingcessoeur. This is your main monster and your main starter for the deck list. Your other starter is simply going to be your Magileine, but this card it's simply just summon it, search a Madolche monster, which will then always be your actual starter. Alright, Petingcessoeur. This card, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon it to the field. Then when you special summon it, you can special summon a Madolche monster from your hand or deck except itself, and reduce its level by 1, which will always be your level 5, your Madolche Puddingcess, as because you reduce its level by 1, you obviously need to summon a level 4, so you can actually exceed summon with it. This card does have an effect, but just ignore it, you're basically never going to use it. You can read it if you like, but you're not going to use it. Alright, the other 2 monsters in the deck are going to be cards you'll be summoning later on as part of the combo, as you'll see during the replays. Madolche Hootcake. This card can banish 1 monster from your graveyard to summon out another Madolche from your deck, which will then generally be your Madolche Messengelato. This card, when you have your Beast Dude on the field, will then search for a Madolche Spell Trap card from the deck. So it's going to be a pretty sick combo as you'll see during the replay. We're going to end on a bunch of Xyz monsters, and you're going to end on a search for either your field spell or for your counter trap card. Your counter trap card is very simple. When a monster effect is activated, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, just negate the activation. Very simple stuff. It has another little effect if you have this dude on the field, but you won't, as he's always going to be Xyz material. Alright, then we have your field spell. When this card is activated, all Madolche monsters shuffle all monsters in your graveyard back into the deck, and all Madolche monsters on your field gain 500 attack and defense. If a monster in your graveyard be returned to the deck by an effect of a Madolche monster, you can add it to your hand instead. So a really good card to have, but generally you're going to be searching for your Knights. I think generally you'll be searching for this going second and searching for this going first, as this card leads to more OTKs, and this one's sort of more reliable to have out going first. But if you ever have either of them, you'll just search for the other copy, and having both on field is pretty damn insane, as this card just generates a shit ton of value. Also, obviously, putting cards back into the deck is pretty useful as well. And then we have your, well, just the negates and negates. Next up, we have the Madolche Xyz monsters, with the first one being your Queen. This card is bonkers. This card essentially is just a once per turn, detach an Xyz material, shuffle 2 Madolche cards from your graveyard back into the deck. to then shuffle 2 cards your opponent controls back into the deck as well, which is an insane source of removal. It's not target, it's not destruction, it's not banish, it doesn't even put them in the graveyard, so your opponent can't re-summon them on future turns or just float into something else. It's just a crazy source of removal, and if you do get this out going second, you're probably just going to lethal your opponent. They're not going to survive through two sources of removal. Alright, next up we have your Madolche Puddingcess. This card takes 2 level 5 Earth monsters. Or just kidding, it actually just takes any of your Xyz monsters and you just slap them on top. Alright, once per turn you can target 1 Madolche card in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. While this card has a Madolche Puddingcess as Xyz material, which it will, because that's this card here. Where is it? Material. When a Madolche card is put into your graveyard and shuffled into the main deck, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, spell or summon 1 Madolche monster from your deck in attack position or face down defense position. So when you activate this card's first effect, shuffle a card in your graveyard back into the deck, you can activate its second effect, detach a material, to special summon out whatever you like from the deck, which will normally be a copy of Hootcake. You can then detach a card and summon out your level 4, and as you'll see during the replay, it leads into a whole bunch of combo-y stuff, and you just end on a whole lot of advantage. So a pretty damn crazy card. The only way to summon it is just you slap it onto one of your other Xyz monsters. Alright, then we have your teacher. Quick effect. You can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 Madolche monster on the field. This turn, that monster is just completely unaffected by other monster effects, so it just makes your card completely immune. Then it has a bonus effect where it basically just becomes a double DD Crow. If a Madolche card is sent to your graveyard while this card is on the field, you can shuffle up to 2 cards from the graveyards from either graveyard, yours or your opponent, back into the deck. So insane going second is if your opponent has an annoying graveyard based deck, you can grab their stuff, chuck it back into the deck, don't have to worry about that stuff, and it can also make your monsters on field just immune to monster effects, which is obviously a good sort of effect. Alright, now let's talk ratios. So this deck list has a major underlying flaw, which I spoke about during the intro, and that is, it is going to brick a shit ton, and that is just unavoidable. That's because we only have 4 starters in this deck list, that being your Petingcessoeur and your 3 searchers for it, so that means you're going to brick a lot of the time. Going first in a 20 card deck list, the chance of opening this is only going to be a roughly 62% chance, which isn't the worst. It is obviously fairly playable, as winning 6 out of every 10 games going first isn't that bad. It's still a positive sort of win rate, but I don't like bricking 4 out of every 10 games. That just seems so bad to me. To be fair, that is only going first, so going second the chance jumps by another 10-ish%, going up to like 71 or something, which is obviously a lot better. But still, I'd prefer to increase that if I can. So I'm running Into the Void, which essentially just makes this deck list a 17 card deck list instead of a 20. So increasing the chance from that 62 to closer to 70%, which feels a little bit better. Still not the greatest, but going second, that's now closer to an 80% chance or 82% chance or something. So feels a lot better to me. It's still not great. You're still going to be bricking with this deck list, but I still think it's a bit of an improvement. I know a lot of people are playing Summoner Monk, but I didn't like that card. I don't like negating 1 card out of my hands for just no reason to end on a board that just feels really suboptimal. Ends on a level 4 monster you can't even use for exceeding, so your board just feels significantly weaker. Doesn't have the DD Crow effect, doesn't have the... It just leads to so many different little issues where if you experimented with the 2 combos, you'll see the differences. You'll notice that the Summoner Monk combo just feels a lot worse than just RNG and gambling for your main combo, which is how I feel about the deck list. If you want to run Summoner Monk, you can, but I personally prefer just to RNG sort of draw into the main combo rather than going for that suboptimal sort of combo. Also, you'll notice I'm running 2 copies of Hootcake. Despite Hootcake during the combos you'll see, you only really need 1 copy of this, especially considering you can shuffle it back into the deck. That's because this deck has one other major underlying bricking problem, and that is it has 2 hard bricks where if you draw them, you're gonna be really annoyed. The reason for this is your Xyz monster, your Puddingcess, can only summon from deck. It cannot summon from hand. So when you do your combo, you want both these cards in your deck list, or your combo is going to feel significantly weaker. So that's why I'm running an extra copy of Hootcake, because if I'm running an extra copy of Hootcake, it means this card is no longer a brick if I open it, because I'll still have 1 in the deck. And this card isn't even that bad in your hand, because it's still sort of a pseudo sort of follow-up card. It can still sort of make plays in the following turn if you have it in your hand. It's not the worst, but I refuse to run a second copy of this card, as it's awful in your hand. You never want to see it. You always want to be summoning this with your Hootcake. It's just so damn bad in your hand. I refuse to run a second copy. Also, adding an extra copy of this to remove one of my back row, it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to run an extra copy of Hootcake, not going to run an extra copy of this. It does make sense though, as having 1 brick in the deck list is only a 20% chance of bricking. Having 2 bricks in the deck list is a 36% chance going first. And going second, that's a 46% chance of opening one of your bricks. I'm not gonna go on those chances. I know we're running Switcheroo, which is also great at removing these bricks. Pay 1,000, take a card in your hand, put it back in the deck list, draw another. Completely fantastic at removing bricks. But I'm not going to make that my only sort of reliable source. I'm going to make sure I actually just have an extra Hootcake so I'm not bricking that much. Because 46% is an absurd chance to sort of try to RNG avoid. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this decklist portion of the video. The rest of it will be gameplay showcasing this decklist in action. And without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, let's get into it. So with this deck list, I had a pretty decent win rate, winning 8 out of the 10 games I played with it, which was pretty damn decent, especially considering all the bricks and stuff I was speaking about earlier. I actually had a very lucky run with this. Definitely mathematically speaking, it was lucky because I only bricked, I think, 1 out of the 10 games, which is definitely above average, and that was the only game I actually lost due to bricking. The only other game I lost was against a Goki player who set 3 back row and just passed the turn, and not many decks are going to play through 3 back row. It's just not going to happen unless you get insanely lucky with your Cosmic Cyclones. So that was a pretty throwaway game. All the others were actually pretty decent. I know we're currently only Platinum, but the season just reset, so most of these players, well, yeah, most of them were Legend last season. So it's not exactly like it was a low rank. And as you can see from most of the gameplays, most of the decks I was coming up against were actually very meta relevant. I think I had a couple of Salad, a couple of Mech Knight, there was a couple of Goki players. It's all very relevant stuff. Alright. So let's get into the replays. Yeah, I think this deck list has so much potential to be meta relevant. I think it could sneak into tier 3. Like I said, I think during the intro, obviously the only actual downside of this deck list is its bricks. Otherwise, it definitely could be a top tier deck list. It just has everything. It ticks all the boxes other than the fact that it bricks. Alright, so we got our start. I don't have to worry about using our Cosmic Cyclone to shuffle. But it does mean we can enter the void safely. Even if we draw a brick, we can Cosmic Cyclone and shuffle it. So this man's trying to IB lock me, but of course I'm running the Link card to avoid this. Which is, by the way, because I seem to get this comment in every single video asking, why is this in my deck for every single deck I upload from now on? It's because of this. IB lock basically just says you can't do any special summoning outside Link summoning unless you get rid of this card. So we run the Link monster, just Link 1, get rid of it, and then we just play the game again. Alright. Opponent's doing a bunch of Mech Knighty things, blah 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 blah. We have seen all this before. Gets his trap card, which we are going to get rid of as soon as he activates it. Into the void, adding a card to hand. Making our Link Disciple so we can special summon our dude from hand. Special summon him. On summon, he activates his secrets, of course, got Cosmic. We're waiting for him to activate so we can chain response rather than trying to guess. Summon out the level 5 from the deck. When this card summons out the level 5 from the deck, it reduces its level to 4, so then we can exceed summon using it. Going into our Teacher. Teacher's then going to attach one to make a card on the field immune to monster effects. In this particular instance, in most instances actually, when using this card, that actually doesn't really matter. We're literally just doing it because we want the material in the graveyard, as we'll show later on. Alright, I'm also going to shuffle some cards in his graveyard back into the deck. Exceed summon over top of it, overlay over it, going into our Pudding. Pudding takes the card we just attached in the graveyard, shuffles into the deck. This activates its effect to special summon from the deck, summoning out the level 3. This will then summon out the level 4 by banishing a card from the graveyard, bringing out our Madolche Messengelato blah blah blah, which gives us a search for the field spell or for the trap card. In this case, I already have 3 back rows, so including the trap card, so I'm just search for the field spell. Switcheroo, searching for another Cosmic in case I could just potentially draw it. And well, I guess his back row was just nothing. But yeah, that was a pretty good showing of the deck list already, so not bad. Slapping up the best deck in the game. Alright, next replay. And this one I think was Mech Knight Salad, which is a deck list I thought disappeared after the ban list, but apparently someone is still playing it. Also, he didn't exactly get a great start, to be fair to him. So Alright, once again, don't even have to use our skill, already got a great hand, so... We actually had 2 starters in this hand, so we had a fantastic hand. Gonna search for my Hootcake, because I play 2 in the deck anyway. And it's actually a pretty good follow-up card, so running 2 of this isn't that bad. But we're generally running 2 of it just to avoid an extra brick. Alright, so special summoning once again, going into our dude, detaching, making it immune, rank up. Not going to use its shuffle effect this time, because by the way, when you're playing this deck yourself, you'll get a prompt at this point asking you if you want to shuffle cards back into the deck. You don't want to do that, as you want to be able to shuffle this using your princess, or your puddingcess. Alright, shuffle it back in, special summon out the level 4, or level 3, which brings out the level 4. Searches for the trap card. Exceed summon into our teacher, and pass the turn after setting a bunch. So we're ending on a card that makes this card, or makes any card, any monster on our field, unaffected to card effects. It's a DD Crow twice to banish 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard, or shuffle cards, so not banish, sorry, shuffle back into the deck, or from your own graveyard. And of course we have whatever back row we had, and a Madolche Nights, which is a negate, as long as we have no monsters in our graveyard. Actually, this wasn't this guy, either way. So book him in his first monster, MST is back row, and he conceded. Not the most exciting gameplay, but just a good example of just the turn 1 setup. Alright, this must be the Salad, Mech Knight player. I know he's in here somewhere. I didn't even check if that guy was playing, if the card I banished was dual wield or not. I think you can see it before it popped, I don't know, I don't remember. Alright. Middle-aged mechs. Yeah, thankfully this guy didn't draw very well. He only had 1 back row, I believe, which we have a Cosmic Cyclone for. But here's a great example of why you need to play Switcheroo with this deck. We have opened our Messengelato, blah, 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 blah. This card, you never want to open it. It is awful in your hand. You want this stuff in the deck. In fact, it completely bricks your combo being in your hand. Well, your turn 1 combo. Going second doesn't matter as much, but it does still matter quite a bit, because at the end of the combo, you normally want to summon it out. Which you won't do in this replay, because I think this guy conceded early, but yeah. So this is going to be a great example of Cosmic Cyclone, Switcheroo, get this shit out of here, and yeah, hopefully draw into a starter, because we don't actually have a starter yet either. Going second with this deck list, I think the chance of opening is insanely high. I forgot what the math is, but I'll probably include it during the deck list part or the intro part. I don't know when. But with a 17 card deck list into the void, yeah, you're probably going to draw into it. Into the void, and we did. Cosmic Cyclone banishing, shuffling back into the deck. So he's got 3 monsters to get through. Easy peasy. Summon our Magileine, searching for our level 4 special summon itself. Bring out the level 5, which by the way, can be summoned from hand, so that's why this is only a soft brick, not a hard brick. Alright, summon out our teacher. Teacher detach, makes something immune, doesn't matter. Shuffling his graveyard back into the deck, which is pretty important against this particular archetype, obviously because of the Balinks, but he didn't actually have Balinks in grave this time. Alright, shuffle 1, bring out just any level 4, because going second, you don't need to do that combo stuff at first. You want to get a hold of your double removal, so your queen. So we're going to summon out any level 4 here. Then we can exceed summon into our queen. Queen can attach 2, shuffle 2 cards, and then we just have lethal on board. Plus, as you'll see in one of the other replays, which most people concede by this point, so I couldn't actually show off in a decent replay, sadly. You'll see in one of the other replays, this also procs the effect of your Puddingcess by shuffling into the deck. So you actually get to summon out the level 3 into the level 4 and have even more monsters on board and a search. So you have a nasty, nasty OTK with this deck if it goes through. Alright. I'm not sure what replay that is, but I definitely did record one. I know it was going to be a very, very average replay, as I think it was just one of those games where your opponent summons 1 monster and passes. Never would save it normally, but saved it simply because, yeah, I wanted to show off that particular OTK combo, which most people concede before you even reach the end of. Alright. Oh yeah, it was this one. Okay. So this guy was playing, I don't know what he was playing, some absolute garbage. So ignore what he's doing, pretend it's just anything else. Okay, this is just absolute shit. I just wanted to show off the main combo. Alright, so into the void, draw one, hitting our starter, thank god. I think the maths is if you have 4 cards in hand, one of them's into the void. This is going first actually. If you have 4 cards in hand into the void, I think it's a 25% chance just hitting it off into the void if you have no other starter in hand. So, not the greatest. Better than nothing though. And going second, that chance is a bit higher anyway, so plus you get the extra draw, so going second, you're probably going to open your combo most of the time. I don't know I forget what the maths is, but I'll have it at the deck list portion, I'm pretty sure. Spoiler alert, I actually haven't recorded yet. Alright, so going into our rank 4, detached one, makes something immune to monster effects. Summon out our Puddingcess. Alright, shuffle 1, special summon. Bring out any level 4, so we can go into our Queen. Queen detached, then shuffle 2 back into the deck. Well, 2 if he had to. In this case, we just chose 1 because he only had 1. This attack activates the effect of our Puddingcess, summons out 1, summons out 2. Search for our field spell, give us a billion attack, and yeah, he is insanely dead. And we have Trill back row, by the way. Alright. Alright. Also, just while we're on the subject of Trill back row, you show the cards I set? You did. I'm not sure about running this card in the deck list. I think I 100% prefer to play the Bouncing Trap card Compulse if I owned it, simply because as situations arise, just like you just saw then, there are a few situations where you just have all your board slots filled up, and if they're all filled up, you can't use Ice Dragon's Prison, so it feels pretty bad. So although this card is an insane card, sometimes there's situations where I can't use it, where I prefer a Compulse. But I own Compulse, so I'm just going to play this card because it's an insane card. That's basically my reasoning. Alright, where are we up to? Pilot. And it's not like it's that bad, because going first, your combo does leave a slot on the field. So, it's not too bad. Alright. This replay wasn't too great either, so I think I was against a Rose Dragon deck, but I wanted to show it off for one particular instance, as I didn't really get many showings of the DD Crow effect being useful. Alright. So he's doing some Rose stuff. I still don't actually know what the Rose stuff does, because I never really got into it. I was too annoyed at the structure deck originally, so never bought it, I think. Right, into the void, trying to hit Cosmics. Unfortunately, we only have 1 Cosmic. We do have a Switcheroo, but I'm scared to use it in case I hit my brick. So I think I wait. I think I did. I know I manned up. RNG'd, hoped I hit it, and didn't. Drew into the exact same card we Switcherooed. Nice. Awesome. Alright, searching for my card, special summoning. Very scared of the double back row here. I think I've already lost. Go into my teacher. Activates effect, shuffling 2 cards in his graveyard back into the deck. And as it turns out, these 2 back row, as I checked his deck list after, were Necro Fusion. He was trying to summon out the dragon card that, like the new dragon card that pops a card on his field and one on mine, using the dragons in graveyard. But unfortunately, I just shuffled one of his dragons into the deck, so he cannot activate them anymore. So I was wondering why his prompts turned off, because I was like, huh, why am I able to play the game without anything being activatable? Yep, as it turns out, he couldn't actually activate anything for the rest of the turn and was just dead. So he knew he was dead and he just conceded. So that's just an example of showing off that, yeah, being able to DD Crow your opponent's graveyard can be really useful. Even if he probably should have just activated it before, you know, activate the card effect. I think he 100% actually should have won that one. He misplayed hard by not activating the Necro Fusion earlier. Alright, because this deck list does basically lose to 1 lot of disruption. If they stop your main combo, you're basically just like, you're dead in the water. Which is why I'm running triple book and I'm running triple cyclone and I'm trying to draw them into the void. Because, yeah, you need those cards to deal with Galaxy Eyes and all these, like, billion back row starts. Right into the void, drawing into a dude, Cosmic Cyclone, hitting the left one. Hitting a Compulse, pretty decent. Into the void. Summon my Magileine. He activates Warning Point, but as you'll see, I didn't shuffle this card into the deck on purpose, because I knew if he activated something to stop this, I would still be able to special summon this anyway and wouldn't care. Alright, special summon out my dude, summon out my Puddingcess, summon out the teacher, shuffle some cards back into the deck, give him back his Warning Point for a dead top deck for him. Summon out my, my Puddingcess. Shuffle back into the deck. Special summon out the level 3 and the level 4. Gives a search for the trap card, because we already have the field spell in hand anyway. And from here, yeah, he only has an MST. It's not likely he's going to win this one. Although, actually, sorry, he actually drew the hand trap, so he could have survived. Alright, and we got him. There's only one top deck that saves him here, and he didn't draw it. Unlucky. Alright guys, that's it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob? Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis. Oh.